So we're going to get started. We are on universal settings, enough springs that the carriage doesn't move around, which has to do with your proportions more than anything else. The long box on, and something you can squeeze between your inner thighs, like a block or ball. And we're going to start seated on the box facing towards the foot bar direction, towards the front of the reformer. Put the block or ball, whatever you have, between your inner thighs. Reach your arms forward and just start by moving through your lower back. So you're spinning the pelvis underneath you and trying to stretch the curve of your lower back out so that it's less of a curve, and then sit back up tall. So just kind of gradually opening up the front of the hips, squeeze into the block as you round the pelvis under. So it's not that you're trying to lean, back. It's more that you're trying to lengthen and stretch out and flatten the curve of the lower spine. Good, keep going. A couple more like that. Rounding. Try not to lean back. Mostly you're stretching the curve of your lower back. It's not really a leaning. And then think of your head staying the same height off the ground. So you're not sinking into it, but you're staying in the same spot and flattening that curve a little bit of your lower back. Stay vertical, so your shoulders are still over your pelvis. Your head is still over your pelvis. You're not back here somewhere. We'll get there, don't worry. Yeah, all right. So then round back just a little bit, letting yourself lean back, open through the front of the hips, flex and squeeze the block as much as you can, and then just lift your arms up overhead. You should feel your abdominals working more, and circle around. Try to squeeze the block more as you lift the arms overhead. Squeeze more, and Carrie, just have enough springs on there that the carriage doesn't move. It doesn't really need to be any specific spring tension, just so you feel like it's not sliding around on you. Cool. And one more time, squeeze the block, and then sit back up tall. Put your hands on your knees, round forward over your legs, stretch your lower back this direction. So you're trying to lengthen the curve of the lower spine. And then sit back up, reach the arms forward, round back again, trying to not sink into it so your head is almost the same height off the ground. Lift your arms up overhead, stay there, rotate your upper body towards one side, come back to the center. Squeeze the block as you rotate the upper body and come back to center. Keep doing that a few times, rotate and center and rotate. And rotate. And one more time, finish up even on both sides and come back forward over your legs, flex over the legs, bringing your head over the knees and stretching the curve of the lower back long. And then stacking back up. One more thing here, squeeze into the block, round back, stay there, rotate your upper body open to one side. Try not to lean forward as you do that, and then come back to the center, alternating between sides. As you're moving, try to open across the front of the chest. You can play around with the palms either facing more towards each other or down. Towards each other might help you to open your shoulders a little bit more. Squeeze into the block a little bit extra, and squeeze into the block. Yeah, nice. One more. And then come forward over the legs and sit back up. Take your hands onto the box and just scoot forward enough that when you lay all the way down, you're not going to fall on the floor. Squeeze into your block or ball. Bring your hands behind your head and just slide your ribs towards your hips. So we're doing like a ab prep here in imprint with the legs lifted. So it's a little bit harder. So you're trying to go from one long line towards flexion. Lengthen back to one long line without letting the ribs pop. Soften through the sternum, slide the ribs towards the hips, and lengthen back. Only lengthen as far back as you can keep your imprint and keep the support for the lower back. 2 more. Squeeze into the block. And last one. And then grab behind your legs. If you want to grab the block with one hand and drop the other leg, that's an easy way to get up. Good. Okay, so we're going to turn sideways. If the straps bother you or in the way, feel free to move them, but you're going to put your forearm down on the headrest. Headrest needs to be flat. And then if the straps feel like you can't put your arm in a comfortable position because they're there, then get rid of that front strap. Cool. Put the block or the ball between your feet. Your knees, unless you're quite short, which I don't think any of you are, your knees won't fully be on anything. So you're in a straight line, your top knee is reaching over the bottom knee, and you're going to do a few clams here, squeezing into the block, finding your balance and your stability. Make sure you're not tempted to kind of crunch up a lot in order to be able to get more of your body on the box. That's not the idea. Yeah, good. Awesome. And just a couple more. If you feel any tension in the top side of your neck, take your top arm over your head. Let your head kind of rest into the cradle of your hand. So your shoulder is helping you to support the neck. Keep pushing down through that bottom arm. So you're staying nice and stable, reaching into the arc of it. So you're not letting the top hip shift back. You're reaching it forward and then lifting that knee up. Good, 3 more. 3 and 2. Last one. And then grab the block or drop it and then sit back up. Turn around, we're gonna do the other side right away. Put your arm down on the headrest, block between the feet, ankles, stack shoulders, ribs, hips, pushing down through the bottom arm, and find a lift of that top leg as you're pushing the knee up and down, trying to feel that connection through the back of the hip, arcing through that clam motion, reaching through the knee, reaching the knee down, reaching out and up. Gentle squeeze into the block. So today we're going to work on mobilizing the whole spine, definitely some hip and lower body engagement, and then also using our inner thighs and some other tricks to try to get our hip flexors to be a little less, to have a little less tension. Arcing through the knee, pressing out and up and down. 3 more. And last one. And then you can grab the block or the ball and come up to sitting. Step off the side. Switch to 1 red spring, should probably be heavy enough, and locate your straps. You're gonna be sitting. This is one of those that if it's too light, it'll be too hard, and if it's too heavy, it'll be too hard in a different way. So find kind of that sweet spot. You might have to drop down to 3/4 spring, but I wouldn't think anyone would be able to do this with less spring tension than that. So put the block or the ball down for a moment, put 1 hand in each strap, scoot yourself forward enough that there's space on the box behind you. We've done this not really recently, but not too long ago. Reach your arms forward. Let your feet just glide on the rails. If you're finding that this already feels too heavy for you, feel free to switch down to 3/4 springs. So taking the arms forward, sitting up really tall. And that moment that we were doing at the very beginning where you were sitting, and I was asking you to elongate through the lower back, is what we're gonna do next. So you're gonna press the arms forward, keep the arms there, and then lengthen through the lower back. Let yourself round back slightly, and then sit back up tall. Let yourself round back a little. Keep reaching into the straps. If you lose that reach into the straps, you start to tip over. Yeah. Rounding back a little and sitting up tall and rounding back a little and sitting up tall. And last one, and reach the arms back down. We're gonna do another version of that. If you need to adjust, adjust, press your arms forward. And now round back, stay, and try to open and close your arms like hug a tree. Second position. What is this position? Well, this is a preparation for teaser. So if you're feeling tension in the front of the hip joint, feel like you're spinning back, lengthening through the fronts of the hips, and holding yourself there with the strength of the abs versus with the hip flexors, and then reaching the arms back down. From here, we're gonna do one more set of each of those. Some of you may wanna add to this. Make sure that there's enough room on the box that if you were to tip backwards, you wouldn't fall off. But if you want, you can press the arms forward and lift the legs up to tabletop, stay in that teaser position, or keep the feet on the rails in that round back position. Arms go forward and back. Keep reaching through the top of the head up into the ceiling, rounding through the lower spine. Awesome, Grace. And then hold the arms forward, little rounding through the lower back. Sit back up tall, little rounding, sit up tall. Good. Try to leave your thighs where they are. One more. Then open the arms, second position, close. They don't have to open all the way. 2 and 3, just one more. And 4. Reach the arms forward. Set the legs down if they're lifted. Roll off to the side. And come right on to laying on your stomach. 1 to 3/4. 1 or 3/4 spring should work. So whatever you're on probably will be good. Grab a hold of the ropes. Take the legs today, rotate them turned out and separate them. So your pubic bone drops through and just going into your extension. So lifting yourself up into extension, lengthening back forward and down. Lifting yourself up and lengthening down. As you press through the arms and lift your spine up, think of your heart being sent forward, away from the feet, pulling through the arms, lengthening back forward. Awesome. Trying to get some movement going in that upper back, which can get really stiff over the weekend, over the week, depending on how much computer time you're having these days. Hold the arms back at the hips, bend and straighten the elbows in tricep presses, reaching the crown of the head away. And 4 more, tricep press. 1 more. Reach the arms forward. Let them go down. Put your hands on the rails. Just let your hips shake a little side to side. Nothing fancy. Keeping the legs turned out, then reach the hands a little lower towards the clips, the metal clips. Press the arms across horizontal towards the hips. Back out to a T and then a Y as you flex forward overhead. As you do this a few times, figure out how to keep the arms kind of on the same horizontal plane while the spine moves more on a vertical plane. Lifting through the upper body, trying to open up the collarbones. And 1 more time, hold the arms back by the hips, little pulses towards the hips. Out, in, out, in, out, in, from the back of the upper arm. 4, try to turn the palms down, not back, or in, or up. And then return. Set the strap down wherever you'd like. You can bring your knees into a shell stretch on top of the box if that works for your body, and just do a little stretch, or stand up on the floor and do a little stretch. Awesome. And then we're going to be doing some single arm work. I would suggest starting with a half spring and then go from there. If you want to make this a little bit more difficult, you can add the block or the ball between the ankles. You guys have done this before, so we're in that position we were in earlier. Get on carefully because it's a lot lighter now. Long line, put the block or ball between the feet or between the inner thighs, depending on what prop you're using, and take the strap in the top hand. As you press your arm down, make sure your head isn't so far forward you're going to chop your nose off. This feels light to start if you're on a half spring probably, and that's okay. We're going to bring the arm forward, up and around. So that should start to feel like a little bit more work. If it doesn't, by all means, sit up and swing your feet forward to put them on the ledge so you can switch to a heavier tension. You also could adjust by just folding the strap, which would increase the range of motion and make it a little heavier for you. Yeah. Keep knees pointed forward. Keep trying to lift the legs a little bit away from the box. Let's reverse the direction of your circles. Circling around, trying to not crash into the stopper, making it nice and smooth. Awesome. If you're doing this and being up on the box for any reason doesn't work for you, you could lay on the carriage instead and just put a block under your head and you'd have your head supported. Bring your arm down by your hip, stay there, and then just straight forward with the arm, connect the shoulder and press back towards your hip. Straight forward and press. Keep pushing down through that bottom arm. Straight forward. Some of you, your arm is still going kind of up. Think of your fingertips being right in front of the shoulder joint. Yeah. And then hold the arm by the side, bend and straighten your elbow, tricep press. Again, if it's too light, just grab up a little higher on the rope is a quick way to change the tension. Three more. Last one. And then bringing the arm back down, you can put the strap back. Take the block out, just set the block to your side, still with the side closer to the camera. That's the side we're going to be working still. You're going to come up onto your hands and knees on the box. Put your foot on the ledge. Put your foot in the strap. Still the same tension. That half spring should work for this. Whoops. Don't drop the strap like me. It can go on the arch of the foot or the ankle. Just elongating through the spine, reaching the leg back, and then flexing at the front of the hip to come back down. As you do this a few times, see if you can get your pelvis a little more level. Put more weight in the lower body and less weight in the upper body. So it should feel like a clear core engagement before you push back. If any of you are comfortable doing this and have done this exercise a lot, feel free to add the opposite arm reaching. However, it's harder as you return the carriage towards the stopper, so don't lose your stability and your balance. Nobody has to add the arm though. Keep your legs straight. Yeah. Good. One more time. You're not trying to go way up high. You're trying to go into where you can keep neutral. From here, press your leg back, hold it there, turn your leg out and flex your foot and just do a little reach out and up. Yeah, the rope might rub your arm a little if that bothers you. There's only so far out away from your arm you can take the leg, but feel free to adjust. So it's about a 2-inch movement. It shouldn't be huge. Your leg is above horizontal. Your pelvis is a little rotated. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bend that leg in. Set it on the box for a second. Just take a 2-second break. Find your lengthened spine again, and then go into a bend and a press. Try not to set the knee down in between each one. Can kind of come a little more to the side. Bending in, pressing out, bending in, and pressing out. As your leg goes back, try not to let your body shift way forward over those arms. Two more. And last one. Bring the carriage back in. Set your foot on that ledge to the side. Use one arm to bring the carriage all the way in. And then sit down facing the side towards the camera. Legs parallel. Again, if you want to put something between your inner thigh, I'm putting the block between my knees. You can adjust how close you are to the front of the back of the reformer. Just sitting, rotating through the upper body. Even though you guys do this kneeling the majority of the time, it's nice to come back to sitting for the hip flexors as well. I feel like it isolates it a little bit more in the abdominals. Trying to rotate the torso from the abdominals, not pushing from the arms, connecting to the back of the shoulders as you rotate. Nice. One more time. And then put the straps down on the floor or on the hooks if you have hooks. My reformer doesn't have hooks. Set the block down. Remember the spring tension is really light. Scooch towards the back of the reformer, towards the shoulder rest, and just let your knee kind of relax down on the headrest, wherever it's comfortable. So my leg is like in a mermaid, and I just have my knee down on the headrest, not on the metal bits on the padded part. Just do a big side bend, bending through your arm. Let your elbow come down as much as it can. Rotate your torso to the ceiling and then towards the floor a couple times. Rotating open and then sit all the way back up. Don't fall in the spring well or the reformer well down there, but it's side bend. Yeah, nice carry. And again, side bend up and over. Rotate a little bit one way and then the other, however it feels good to you. And then come up and do a counter stretch. Opening up through the side of the torso. Set your hands back down. Rotate your upper body towards the foot bar and touch whatever part of the reformer you can. The box you can. I'm pushing with my back hand and almost pulling with this front hand. Turn and look around yourself. See if you can look around yourself. You can adjust your hands wherever you need them to be a lot. Slightly lean forward towards the foot bar, and it should feel like your back knee is able to lift. If you can, lift the knee, maybe it's an inch, and lower the knee. My thigh is still touching the reformer, but I am working to lift the weight out of the leg. If you guys have worked in the studio with the spine corrector, the arc barrel, you've done things similar to this. So you're rotating, you're trying to lift that back knee and lower the back knee. Instead of lifting just the foot, try to lift the knee. Yeah, should feel like that back of the glute is working. If your elbows are locked and you're propped up on your arm, you're not in the right kind of situation. You're trying to lift yourself up and liberate that back leg. Lean forward enough, you can lift that back leg completely. Then try to stretch it out. Bend it back in. Do that a couple times. Stretch the leg out, bend it back in. You might not go all the way to straight, that's okay. And bend it back in, good Ginge. And stretch it out. It's like I'm trying to pull my sternum forward and up. at the same time. And back in. One more time, try to keep the knee high. Hold the leg out there straight if you can, and just do a little pulse or a circle. Either one, whatever feels better to you. Circling around and reverse. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower that leg back down. Turn towards the back of the reformer. Find your straps if you need to stand up to do that. Do. Whichever arm is closer to the camera, that's the same side we've been working. That is the strap you're going to have. Imagine you have one strap in each hand, but you actually have nothing in the other hand. Round back through your lower back. It's pretty light, so just go small to start. If you need to scoot forward, you can. The major rule here for safety is be mindful your feet don't leave the carriage. Something has to be touching of the feet the whole time. Round back, stay there, drop the elbows, and just do a few bicep curls. While you're here bicep curling, you've only got resistance in one hand. Of course, you could add a weight to the other hand if you wanted, but as you do this, the work is more in the abdominals to keep your body centered and not shift or rotate or lean. Yeah, try not to squeeze your arms together. They should be shoulder width apart. Good. And one more time. Come into that bicep curl, then sit back up nice and tall. Take your arm out to the side, the one with strap in it. You can do both if you want. At palm down or forward, airplane. You might need to back up a little bit. You're just going to be sitting. So where you're comfortable and where you have enough length in the rope to move fully. So pressing through that arm and return, connecting the ribs, pressing the arm back, return all the way to the stopper. As you return, rotate towards the back arm, the one that has no strap in it. As you press, rotate towards the strap arm. So you're doing kind of a windmill-y feeling. Rotate a little, try not to sink, lengthen through the back of the neck and the upper body, top of the head to the ceiling, long through the back of the neck. Press and little rotation. Return, 2 more, press and rotate and press and rotate. And you can set that strap down and you're going to grab the other strap and come off to the side. We're starting all of this on the other side. So if you put something between your inner thighs on the other side, then you should hear you're laying on your side. Your forearm is on the headrest area. Top arm is in the strap. Long through the spine. Just start by pressing straight down. Make sure you know where your head is and you're not going to slice your nose off. And then start to take this into that full circle. Arm reaching forward, up and around. Nice. As you continue, trying to feel like you're working through the back of the shoulder. If it's a little too light, just shorten your grip on the rope, either by folding the strap or literally hold up onto the rope instead of on the loop. If it's a lot too light, just add a quarter spring to this. And reverse your circles, pushing towards the hip, up to the ceiling and around. Pressing down through that bottom arm, keeping the legs slightly hovering. One more time. Once the arm gets to the hip, stay there. Wide across the collarbone, arm goes straight forward. Press the arm straight back to the hip, arm straight forward and press back. Press through that back of the shoulder. 2 more. Reach the arm forward, anchored by that shoulder blade. Once the hand gets to the hip, stay there. Bend and straighten the elbow, tricep press. Push through the back of the upper arm. This is where it maybe is a little light, so hold up higher on the rope. Good. Last two. And last one. And then you can bring yourself back and carefully swing your legs off, set the block down. We're gonna come onto our hands and knees. Hands under the shoulders. Put your foot on the ledge so that you can slide your foot into the strap, either arch of the foot or the ankle. Pressing your leg back. And then keeping your pelvis stable as you reach through the leg and return forward. Nice. Nice, Anne. Lengthen through your upper backs, everyone, so you're not slightly rounded. Good. Keeping the weight from shifting forward. So as you press back, your body doesn't counterbalance that work by shifting forward. This is a nice active hamstring stretch. Then press the leg back, hold it, rotate the pelvis a little, rotate the leg, flex the foot, and see if you can do a little circle or pulse. Reaching out and up, out and up, out and up. Your back elbow might have to bend a little bit. That's okay. Lift and lift and lift. 4, 3, 2, 1. Bend your knee, put your knee on the box, and then center everything off, level everything off, and then bend and stretch. Bend your knee in, press your leg out behind you. Good. Bend, knee in, and press out behind you. Awesome. Nice, Joanna. Making it nice and smooth. Weight as even as possible through both arms. Three more. And last one, finish up. Bring your foot on the ledge, bring the carriage in carefully, and very mindfully sit down and hold on to the rope with the arm closer to the foot bar. Then add the other arm, rotate your torso. As you rotate, lift up and around, getting nice and tall. Lifting yourself into rotation. Feeling that isolation of the rotation of the rib cage and the pelvis staying still. If you want to squeeze the block or the ball between your knees, you can. Two more. And then return the strap. You can put it down on the hook where it's out of your way or on the floor. Scoot towards the back of the reformer, towards the pulleys. In a Z sit like mermaid, set your knee down on the headrest area. It shouldn't feel like you're sliding off, so make sure you've got enough of your other hip on the box. And then just go into a big side bend, bending your elbow, reaching up and over towards the foot bar, and then rotate your chest open to the ceiling, rotate to the floor, however this feels good to you. And you'll do that a couple times with a counter stretch towards the back of the reformer. And big stretch up and over, opening up ribs. And counter stretching one more time. And big stretch up and over. Lengthen through the upper body. Feel that pull of the pelvis getting pulled down by the weight of your leg and the ribs pulling in opposition towards that. So your waist is what's stretching out. And then big counter stretch. And rotate towards the foot bar. Push, pull, feeling through the arms. And let your upper body lean forward just a little bit. And then lift the knee a little and lower the knee. You might figure out this position better the second time around. So if you want to go right to lifting the whole leg, you can. Feeling like that back of the knee is what engages first. So back of the hip, the knee lifts, and then the foot is slightly behind that. So the foot is not above the knee. Theoretically, of course, yeah. Good. Bend your elbows, pull your heart through. And instead of just kind of like lifting lower and lifting lower and lifting lower, you think about where the lift is coming from. Connect to the back of the hip and then lift. Connect to the back of the hip. It should feel like those clam muscles are very much involved in this. Lift and lower. And then lift, extend the leg and bend the knee. And keep rotating, extend and bend. Keep rotating the upper body in opposition and bending. Extend the leg. Beautiful. Ideally, you'd be able to extend the leg and the foot wouldn't drop down below the rails of the reformer. Trying to keep it up kind of high. Hold the leg and either a little pulse or a circle. Reverse, 8, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and swing your leg back down. Stand up and come out of that. Let's just add some springs on here so the carriage can't move easily. And then you're gonna come onto the reformer back here, which is a very weird place. I hardly ever have you do this. You can stand on the rails if you want to get on, but you're gonna back up as much as you can without falling off. So where the pelvis is and where your hip joint starts is kind of where I'd love to have you. Hands on the front of the box or the sides, whatever helps you the most. Pull your chest forward and through, and it should help you to loft your feet up away from the floor. Yeah, so it's like you're trying to reach both ends of you out so much that the legs float up into a turned out position with the legs separated. And then you can kind of relax that, adjust whatever you need to adjust, reach out, float up, and then stay there and just bring the legs apart and together, 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 together. If you can alternate between pointed and flex feet, do. Point and flex and point and point and flex. If that doesn't work, then don't worry about it. Lengthening through the upper body. Should feel the back of the legs working. Keep the knees really straight. And last one, and then let your legs relax a second. Take your legs to parallel, lengthen out, and then circles where you go a little wider, then the legs come all the way together and down a little higher as they come together and around. So you're circling the legs. Circling, each leg is making their own circle. The more you create length and pull through the upper body, the less you'll feel your pubic bone. Your pubic bone is pretty much off the back edge of the box, which makes it a little more comfortable. Reverse if you haven't. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and last one. Let your legs set down, rest for a second, slide off the side of the box. And we're gonna turn, let's turn the box. And let's start with really light spring tension. Let's do 3/4 springs and bring the foot bar up. So you're gonna be really careful as you get on here. Put your hands near the middle of the box. Yeah, and then step up onto the carriage. You're totally pretty much free here, so don't suddenly stand up. There's hardly any springs on this. So find a place where you can drop your hips and you can touch the box and you're supported. Yeah, awesome. And then just reach one arm forward, bring that hand back and reach the other arm forward and bring it back and reach your arm forward and back. Try not to kind of collapse onto your legs, that you're still in a squat. If the box is too low for you, say you're tall or maybe you're not as flexible, you could put the platform on top of that. That would bring the top of the box up a little higher for you. Yeah, why are we doing this, reaching the arms forward? Because you know I have a plan and I want to add to this. But today, let's keep it with just a simple finding our squat, reaching forward. If you have feet that don't fit on the carriage, you could put the box over the shoulder rest. It just slides more, so it's a little different of a position. Good. Okay, then carefully using your hands on top, step off one side and then the other. Cool, and then take this all off. Put the box out of your way. And we're going to keep our 3/4 spring. Come to kneeling. Bend your elbows and think of like you're trying to pull your elbows wide to open the front of the chest. So elbows wide, pull your chest through and then push into your arms and round through your lower back. And do that again, wide across the front of the collarbones. Carriage isn't moving. And rounding through your lower back, scoop under. One more time, wide through the collarbones. And then rounding. Add at least one red spring, so you're probably at 1.5 or 1 3/4. We're gonna work on down stretch. So you're in this long line. We're gonna add that extension at the beginning. So pull your elbows wide apart, lift the sternum, push into your arms, round from tail to head. As you start to press out, you're gonna lengthen out from tail to head into this bow shape of the spine. And then we're gonna push that shape out and in a few times, opening across the collarbone each time the carriage comes in. On the next one, which is the third one, push out, and then like you're getting punched in the stomach, slow-mo, round yourself back in. I know that's a lot. It's not really easy to do without doing it all as one continuous motion. So let's start by pulling the sternum through, lift the chest, lengthen through the spine from tail to head, start to round and then press out. From tail to head, you lengthen into that bowed shape, opening across the front of the hip joints. Lifting that bowed shape up, keeping the abdominals working. As the carriage comes in, you can think of lifting, pushing down into the arms. As you press out on this last one, round the belly button back to return the carriage back in. Twice more, elbows open wide, lengthen the sternum through, round the tail under, and then press the carriage out. From tail to head, you lengthen, push down into the arms as you pull in, press out. And keep that bowed shape. We're opening across the front of the pelvis and those hip joints. Awesome. And then rounding to come back in. One last time, bending the elbows, pull the sternum open, round and press through the arms, push out through the back of the legs, tail the head, lift the sternum. Feel like the back of your head is coming towards your feet as the carriage comes in. So that bowed shape is lifting up, collarbone to the ceiling. On your last one, you're gonna press the carriage out, round, and pull that whole thing back in. Awesome. Switch to 2 red springs and come up to standing like you're gonna do flat footed if you can, or if you need your heels lifted, you can do that as well. But like you're gonna do round back elephant, step 1 foot forward so your heel's about in line with the toes of the other foot. And just do elephant here. You're not gonna be able to move very much because that front leg is staying straight. Start to take weight out of the front leg by bending it. And then you can start to just lift it up like a flamingo, not keeping the pelvis level and trying to keep centered. If it's too heavy, of course you can adjust. Spring tension, push out, pull in. The pulling in is the part I care the most about, that you're trying to scoop and round the lower back up to the ceiling. Try to feel the bottom ribs lifting up. Awesome. And then set that foot back down. Step the other foot forward in line with the toes of the other leg and just push out and pull back in. And as you do this a couple times, feel that press of the back leg. Start to bend the front knee, keeping the hips level, taking some weight out of that front foot. And when you're ready, take the foot off. Obviously, this is a progression, so you can stay with whichever is most appropriate today. Push, pull. Keep rounding the ribs up. Push, pull. One more. And then set your foot back down. Once you have both feet down and the carriage in comfortably, just lengthen your back as much as you can towards neutral. And keep your weight shifted back so you're not way forward over the foot bar. And just stay in that neutral, push out. Feel like the sit bones lift as you come back in. I don't have particularly tight hamstrings, but if I think of lifting my sit bones, I feel a stretch the whole time the carriage is coming back in. If you don't feel a stretch, either you're extremely flexible or you're just not creating that opposition and that lift through the pelvis. You can also try lifting your toes. So you're fully lengthening the tissue of the posterior chain. Yeah, think of a little lift of the head. Nice. Last one. And then come back in and set your knees down. So I'm going to give you 2 options. One would be knee stretches, round back, which you guys know and have done that before, just this. Or if you want to push yourself a lot more, you can go with my cues, basically. 1.5 springs, I think, will be plenty. You're going to come back up in that elephant flat foot position we just were working from. Step 1 foot forward like we did before. Lift the back heel into a high half toe position so your heel is not flat, your foot's not flat. Start the same way, so push back a little bit, come in as lighter so you're gonna feel you can move a little easier. Start to take weight into that back leg and bend the front knee. Yeah. So now you're gonna push the carriage out by straightening the back leg, bending the front leg. See if you can stay there and hover the front foot off the ground. Then bend the back knee to bring it in. Push the leg out to straight, bend it to come in. Push it out to straight, bend it to come in. If you want to add the leg that's in the air in opposition, go for it. You've got about 6 more. 5, 4. Nice. Last one. And then set your feet back down. Good. So now put the other foot back, step the other foot forward, lift the back heel, high half toe position, and start to push the carriage out, taking more weight in that back leg. On this next one, push the back leg out, hold it there a second, the back leg straight, hover your foot off the floor, not both feet, just one, and bend and straighten, pushing out through that back leg, trying to not let your hips lift and lower. So your hips stay the same height off the ground the whole time. And about 6 more. Bicycle the other leg in opposition if you did on the other side. 3, 2, and last one. And come back in. Just to center everything off, let's all together put your feet flat again if you can. Lengthen your spine into neutral. Push the carriage out. It's light, so focus on the heels staying down so you get more stretch through the calves. And one more time. Step your feet to that high half toe position against the shoulder rest. Round your back, looking through your inner thighs at the pulleys behind you. And do a few round back. With this high half toe position, it should feel like you have to work a little harder to get those ribs to lift as you come back in. The spring tension is going to bring the carriage in. I want you to bring the carriage in instead of the spring tension. Rounding in. And last one. Good. And then carefully step off to the side. Come to a mermaid position facing the side. Switch to one red spring, kneeling. I'm just going to a simple mermaid, side bending one way like we did earlier on the box, and side bending the other way while we all catch up with each other. Beautiful, Anita. Lift up and over. Big stretch. And then add the rotation to this as you go towards the foot bar. Side bend up and over towards the foot bar. Rotate, set one hand down on each side. And then a few times bending and straightening the elbows, trying to stretch from the back of the shoulder to the back of the opposite hip. And then push the arms out to straight. Start to look forward. Lift yourself up into extension. You can let your head go up towards the ceiling a little bit. Then round your back to come back out. Stay there a second, pushing the carriage out. Take your front arm and just reach it across to the rail. You're not trying to make it extreme and like crack your back. You're just trying to use your fingers to try to pull yourself into a little bit of rotation, like you're looking underneath that back armpit. And then set your hand back on the bar. Slide the back hand towards the front. Side bend, do your counter stretch up and over. And then grab the shoulder rest, turn and look all the way around yourself. And do a little bit of a breath pulse to try to get a little further. The pulse can kind of be through the arms as well, that push-pull feeling. And then release your arms and we'll turn around to the other side. So flip your knees. Hand is on the foot bar, a little bit in front of you. Just go into that simple side bend one way, up and over, side bend the other way. And side bend. And as you do this a couple times, we'll add our rotation on this next one. So side bend towards the foot bar, slide that back hand out of the way, push through the arms, push and pull your ribs around. So you're trying to square your shoulders, you're round through your lower back, pushing and pulling through the arms. On the next one, push the arms out, start to look forward, lift your spine, still that push-pull feeling. Press the carriage back out again. You're round through the upper back. Reach your fingertips across towards the rail and kind of look underneath your armpit. Rotate a little further. Yeah, nice carry. And then set your hand back down. Slide the back hand towards the front. Turn to the side. Lift up and over. Big side bend. And then you're going to rotate towards the shoulder rest. Push, pull, and do a little breath pulse. So you're just going a little further. Most likely the exhale will help you to go a little further. And then you can release. And you can do your single thigh stretch standing at the side, 1.5 to 2 springs to finish, either standing at the side of the reformer or up on the high bar, whichever is more delicious today. Good job. Thank you so much for coming. And we'll keep working on all of this. I'll see you later.